All right, so we are live. So welcome back, everybody. We made it week 2. Welcome to all of you online, and thanks for all of you that are here in person. So we're back. It's week 3 in the semester, but it's week 2 in MISA. So we're somehow behind because we don't start in the beginning, but we're not behind on the fun and excitement and action. And so that's where we can make up on it in terms of not falling on with the schedule. So last week we had our What is MISA info session. So we talked about what MISA is. You got to hear from some of the officers, and then we actually had some of our alumni come in, Carice and Paul, talk about kind of where they are in their careers, what they're doing, and kind of, you know, a little bit more about their background and how they got started and such not. So, so that was last week. So if you didn't get to see that session, if you go on the website, www.misafau.com, you can see on our videos page, the past videos, thanks to our amazing website team putting the videos up there. We appreciate that. So tonight is our, basically like our official start. So last week was kind of like the grand, you know, entrance opening of MISA. And so now we get kind of into the normal process. So MISA, each week we alternate between what we call general meetings and then company information sessions. And so tonight is when we have our first general meeting. And then next week will be when we have our first company information session. And next week it's with Modernizing Medicine, which is like the unofficial, like, you know, #1 company for MISA, I would assume. So that'll be next week. So tonight we have our Get Connected networking, LinkedIn handshake, basically our Get Connected session, and this is our general meeting. And so this will be a fun one because it'll be informational in the first part, and then after we kind of go through the slides, we'll go and actually work on some of the professional networking, and we'll have some questions that those of you online will be able to kind of talk amongst your groups. We'll kind of go into some breakouts on Zoom, and then for those of you here in person, we'll have some groups, and it's easy questions. It's just simple things about, you know, your major, what you're interested in, movies, hobbies, and things, just to kind of get you to know a little bit more about your fellow classmates, but also practice kind of doing your elevator pitch, talking about who you are, you know, what you're majoring in, what your interests are and such. So, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to our amazing MISA president. So can we give a nice warm virtual and in-person round of applause for Mr. Jonathan Davis, our amazing president.
So we have this session every semester since I've been here in MISA, probably since it began. A lot of people, when they're in college, they don't really think about their future in terms of like networking and how they're actually going to find a job. Some people just think once they get their college degree, a job just will come to them. But you know, it's a lot of work to even qualify and find somebody that's willing to hire you. And just this session is going to kind of go through ways to help you kind of have a better chance of finding a job once you graduate. Obviously, getting your degree is a big win, and that's a good way to differentiate yourself from others. So you guys are already on the right track, but I'm going to help you show you a couple tips and stuff like that. So let's go. So networking. So I think I talked about this last week. My first day ever coming to MISA, it was the same room. I sat all the way back there by myself. I didn't answer a single question, didn't talk to a single person, was afraid to talk to anybody. Back then, if I did talk to somebody, I'd probably after that curl up in a ball and start crying just because of my social anxiety back then. So it's okay if you feel like that way right now. But when it comes to that, it takes practice talking to other people, and that's really why MISA is here. MISA, one of the biggest reason MISA is an organization is to network yourself between your fellow peers and students, whether it's talking about classes you're taking next semester. I think David came up with a good idea, which we'll kind of finalize last week. A lot of us are coming up and talking about what classes we're going to take next semester. So I think it's a good idea, which is some type of networking where coming in closer to the end of the semester, we'll have like a few minutes after one of these MISA sessions, and we kind of plan each other's classes and see if we could take classes with each other. I think that's a great way to kind of network with each other, go through our school. So thanks, David, for bringing that up. Oh, there you go, Sean too. Sean too, thank you. And then another thing for me is networking with all the companies that come in. Like Dr. Sweet said, we have Modernizing Medicine that's coming in next week. We had a company tour with them a couple semesters ago, and the culture there is amazing. And you kind of want to get your leg into companies like that. So let's keep going. So what is networking? Networking isn't just going straight up to a person and say, is y'all hiring? You know, don't ever say it like that either. If you go up to somebody, it's not a one-way conversation. It's a connection that you want to make. You know, if you think of networking like internet, you don't just it doesn't go one way, it goes both way. And don't think single-minded what's in it for me. It's the company's looking what you could do for them and what you could do for them. Kind of, yeah. So and what they could do for you. So and another important thing is like if you go to a career fair, I think there was an internship fair today or something like that today, right? So if you're going up to them and you gave them your resume or something like today, make sure within a few days you follow them via email saying, hey, I enjoyed our conversation. Just wanted to follow up saying thank you, and hopefully you consider me as an applicant. That really helps like make you pop out from others. So make sure if you did go to the fair today, you did give a resume, please follow up with whoever you talk to. Even if it's like a company you're not super interested in, you'd be surprised. So let's keep going. So what is networking? So when you're networking, you want to have a genuine conversation with whoever you're talking to. You don't want to like make it like such a big like company talk. It's okay to get somewhat personal, say, hey, where'd you go to school? What's your hobbies? Kind of talk about what they think about their experiences at that job. Try to get kind of like a one-on-one kind of conversation going on. Obviously exchange information. So obviously if you have your resume, give that to them and ask for a business card in return or some email or something like that. To be honest, you just want to be as genuine as you can, because if you're acting fake before you get hired, you're going to have to act fake your entire time working there, or stuff would change pretty quick. So be as genuine and as personable as you can be yourself, obviously as professional as yourself you could be, but make sure when you're talking to people, you're providing your value. So make sure you understand what your value is. Okay. A statistic is through CNBC, about 80% of jobs are filled through networking. So obviously, you need to know people to kind of get a good job. You can't just randomly apply most of the time, which sometimes it does work, but it's better to have connections, and hopefully you use resources such as MISA to find connections and peers and companies that come in as a connection, because it definitely helps. Even if it's like a letter of recommendation from somebody you met through MISA or through a company met through MISA, just definitely consider that. So take advantage of people that come here to talk. Most of the people and companies that come here to talk, they're either upper management, they're part of the IT department in that management. We have HR coming in, usually in peer with those people that come in to talk in. So I think next week we have Professor Shannon Stewart, that also is a IT manager at Modernizing Medicine. So he's the guy that hires us out of college, you know. It's not like we have a random guy that's just coming to talk about the company. He's here. He's part of the MISA family also, so that's a perk. He's coming here to talk to you about his company, but as well as to talk about opportunities at his company. So make sure you're here you come understanding what the company is. Don't, like, if you're interested in the company, don't come into MISA not knowing anything about it. kind of do a little research on, let's say, modernizing medicine and see what they actually do. And then you want to ask questions. So when the speaker is here, ask what to expect from the work, ask them if you could give advice and maybe some tips. Yep, Daniel.
How do you know which company is coming?
So you could go to misafeu.com, which is the website. And then we have an events tab there that has all our events that are coming throughout the semester. That's the best way. And then we also have a weekly newsletter, which you can sign up, which Tulsi sends out every Monday. We have multiple, and Anna, thank you. Definitely, we have a couple of resources which keeps you up to date. So definitely look out for that. So like I said, research the company, check their job listings, if they have internships. Good perk about MISA is sometimes they give us like inside like job listings before it's even posted. So make sure you come to MISA, because even sometimes on their websites, they might not even show they have internships, but just for MISA members, they might give us internships that are ahead of time or give us first priority on certain things. So definitely think about that. Like I said, prepare questions and try to build a connection with the speaker. We have 20 odd people here, a lot more people in Zoom. Although we're peers, we may be competing against each other for an internship in a nice way, hopefully. But obviously you want to make sure you stand out with from your peers and try to ask these questions so they kind of build that connection with you in the beginning. So like I said, remember the speaker's name, try to connect to them on LinkedIn, and I'll get more into why LinkedIn is super important in just a sec. So when you're getting recruited, recruiters think about people that be a good fit within the company. Within the last, I guess, decade or two, companies have become more culturally driven in terms of making sure the employees are fitting their vision, and their vision is also supporting their employees. It's not all military style companies anymore. I guess I'll bring up ModMed again. They have a spa in there. They have multiple kitchens filled with food and drinks, and they have ping pong and arcade games and that kind of stuff. So, that's a culture hopefully you guys are interested in. So modernizing Redis, and they're coming in next week, but we have other companies that are coming in as well throughout the semester that has similar cultures and brand new companies. So just because they're coming in next week, that's why I'm bringing them up, just so you guys can start prepping for that. So like I said, research the company. So anybody here knows what an elevator pitch is? Yeah. What's the elevator pitch, Daniel?
Elevator pitch is basically that one.
Yeah.
To sell yourself
Mhm.
the best way possible.
Gotcha.
The intention is that you maximize your message and your selling process
Mhm.
to be the best.
Gotcha. So what Daniel said is, mostly for especially like career fairs, you don't have much time to talk to recruiters. So you're gonna have only 1 minute to impress them as much as you can by talking about yourself, talking about all the value that you have and what you could provide to the company. And it's just a way to impress them in 1 minute, basically. Have your resume ready and have your LinkedIn up to date. Be confident when you're talking. Make sure you're looking them in the eyes. That's another important thing. And like I said, connections are very important. So, so some people don't really know how to start a conversation. So when you're starting a conversation, talk about what's going on. That's a good thing to start with. Talk about current topics that's not controversial, obviously. Talk about them, like I said, about what they think about their job, hobbies that they have. And once you have a conversation, you kind of figure out like their kind of vibe, and you kind of fish for other topics from that. And then if it's like a Zoom like meeting you guys are having, you always say, hey, that's like a whatever sports jersey they have behind them, or a trophy, or ask them about that, or if they still have their Christmas tree up when it's almost February, which I do. So, and obviously you want to continue the conversation, keep asking questions, have different perspectives, and obviously keep asking about them in a non-creepy way. You kind of get that vibe. And then obviously, like I said, you always want to follow up with anybody you speak to, give their resume to you or anything like that. If you have a reference that they may know, throw that in. Obviously, you have that in your resume as well, or in the follow-up email. So that's super important. Okay, so we're going into the LinkedIn portion of this meeting. So let me try to move that around. Okay, so who here or in the chat, you can raise your hand. Who here has a LinkedIn profile? Okay, so thankfully, majority of you have a LinkedIn profile. So LinkedIn is the leading, would you say it's a social media platform? I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess so. So business social media platform. It's probably the only social media you need. We have Professor Samatelli coming in the next couple of weeks. You can ask him about that. But anyways, try looking him up. You won't. So this is the best network to find a job. This is the sole network to find a job. I'll bring up Handshake in a little bit, but this is where majority of companies and connections and other people come, and business-minded people come together to connect, trying to find jobs, try to find other networks within their companies. And this is your dating profile for your career, okay, basically. So you kind of want to make yourself pretty on this profile. So obviously you're gonna want to have your profile ready even before these career fairs. Like I said, we have the career fair that happened today, but I think on February 28th we have a technology and engineering career fair, which is kind of point out towards us that are in the MIS program or computer science program, and obviously engineering program. And then we have other careers, probably for the career expo. We could take a look in the virtual career expo. So a good thing to do is after you talk to these people, try to connect with them on LinkedIn. Connections are super important. So just remember these bullet points when you're thinking about networking, because it's super important. This is just the base of it, and it's from there you can build on. So why does this keep popping up? So interesting statistics about LinkedIn and networking. 3% of people who apply on a job board land a job. So you're probably thinking that's not like a really good percentage. And it's true. So that's why you gotta keep sending out those applications. Out of 100 applications, you hear back from one person, and that's okay. You're not the only one. So I don't want you to feel like it's anything wrong with you. Obviously we have Desiree George coming in a couple weeks as well. And she's going to talk about how to build your resume as well as your LinkedIn. If you think your resume or LinkedIn's not up to par, we have resources here at FAU to help with that. And as well as almost 90% of recruiters go through LinkedIn. So, I mean, having 90% of people rather than 10% is a good thing to have a LinkedIn. And 85% of jobs, like I said earlier, are filled through networking. Okay, so this is kind of a broad perspective of what a LinkedIn profile has. It has a profile picture, background photo, kind of like a headline about you, a summary, experience, education, and all these other stuff. I'm going to go deeper into it in the further slides, but this is basically what a LinkedIn profile overall looks like. So you got to start at the base. So you got to start with the profile photo and the background photo. So we have the lovely Pamelina. She has a picture of her at her office, and on her background photo, she has a quote, says always see as possible until it's done. And you kind of want to, on your profile and your background, kind of like display your personality. On LinkedIn, you don't have, on your profile picture, you don't have to be suit and tie. That's not the culture job you want to be in. If you want to be in a polo or just a regular shirt, that's fine, as long as you could quantify yourself throughout your profile and express yourself through that profile. Child employees or anything. For me, I look like David said, like I'm going to prom in my picture. And it was a wedding, but anyways, I thought it would do enough for the picture, but anyway, and then the background, I know FEU's been a big part of my life. I'm proud of FEU, so I have that as my background. We have the great Emily, her degrees in IT and MIS and analytics, so her background's kind of familiar with that. And the last photo is a guy that's trying to convey a message of having a great team, so he has that as his background. So it's really important to start that as your base. Don't be afraid to play around with it as long as it's appropriate. So kind of own your summary. Some people have their summary as super like strict and hi, my name is Jonathan. I went there. If that's who you are as a person, you have that as your summary. But your summary is really important to show you as a person. So make sure, as long as it's grammatically correct, you could kind of just word it however you want. Obviously, put the key points of where you graduated, kind of your hobbies, things you're certified in, kind of in a shorter format. But make sure you display who you are in your summary. And then, so that's another important thing. So I have a couple examples here. You guys want to read through it quickly, but they're all just kind of different kind of versions of a summary. So adding documents with LinkedIn. So we discussed an elevator pitch, right? On my profile, I have an elevator pitch. I believe it's still there. It's a quick 1-minute thing about me describing myself. I think having like an elevator pitch on your profile kind of helps display you as a person better than words, just because you can kind of express your personality via your voice or your emotions. So make sure you take a few, just don't do one where you're stuttering and saying 100 times like I am in this in this meeting, but that's just me. Yep. Yep. So you're able to link my elevator pitch is linked through my private YouTube account. And
¿Cuánto cobran en la feria de Luis Fabián?
Ya, 15 lo de 10 para cada uno.
let me see what's going on there. Ooh, where's this new thing? I'm not kidding. Where is it?
Tienes que no sé,
Wow.
ya no vamos a
Participants.
Okay. Okay. Cool. So we back. Yeah.
So the summary, Peter, you don't have to.
Mhm.
What did the summary kind of do?
Yeah, so a summary is usually the first thing anybody on LinkedIn profile has. So once they read their summary and they're kind of enticed by your summary, they'll want to start reading more of your profile, right? So once they start reading your profile, that's when they will go to your video and kind of get your personality. That's a really important thing about culture. And fitting. So obviously add your resume onto your LinkedIn, add any socials if you want. I don't, because I'm boring. But if you have any, like, if you put a hobby that you're a photographer in your LinkedIn, obviously add your Instagram with all your photos. That's like showing all your photos. Just make sure you kind of add whatever you can to distinguish yourself from others and make yourself look pretty awesome. Okay. So let's get to on experience. So we all hear these stories of like people with these job postings saying I need 5 years of experience and all this stuff. And then you're like, yo, homie, I'm like coming straight out of college right now. Like, I can't do that. So it's okay, you know. And don't think like any experience that you had doesn't qualify. For me, I worked at Target for 2.5 years. Worked myself up as a team lead, and a lot of people think like, hey, that doesn't qualify myself. Like, what does that have to do anything with like technology or anything like that? But when you really think about me working as a team lead in Target, it shows leadership skills, teamwork. So make sure like when you really think about the experience or any job you've ever had, make sure you think of what kind of aspects or kind of things people might look out for that. So obviously you want to put all your experience in your LinkedIn. But there's also a volunteer section. So you go, if you ever volunteered for anything, put that in my section. I help teach kids music, so I put that there just to show I have some kind of stuff where I try to help others. Just try to think of what kind of makes yourself differentiate from others. Like I said, if it's volunteering at church or doing something like that, just put that on. So definitely put that. So another thing is skills. So skills is another thing that people can endorse you to kind of back you up on stuff you know. So as an FAU student, I hope everybody here at least knows how to use Excel and Word. If you're a ISM or MIS student, we pretty much have 3 or 4 classes just based off on Excel. So obviously that's like one thing you want to put on your skills. And like I said, through networking, other people that you know can endorse you. And having all these endorsements help show other people that you actually know your stuff. So obviously you need to go, Google, Office 365. If you know any other skills or have any other certificates, obviously put that in for your skills. Okay, so this is like another kind of overview of like people endorsing all that stuff. Okay, so I'm just going to go briefly over Handshake real quick. So Handshake is basically the LinkedIn for college students. Handshake knows that you're a college student, and people hiring on Handshake knows you're a college student. So they know you may not have the most experience, but the reason they're here in Handshake is because they're okay with that and they want to hire people straight out of college. So it's really important that you build your Handshake profile with the same quality as you would your LinkedIn profile. It's pretty similar. You put your journey, your education, all that other jazz that you would for your LinkedIn profile, put that on your Handshake. And obviously another important thing, like I know you probably get like weird random people who message you on LinkedIn or on Handshake. Even though you may not be interested in those jobs, at least reply to those people saying, hey, I thank you for reaching out to me. I'm currently not interested, but I would love to form a connection or something like that. You don't want to burn any bridges, having all these connections are super important. So you never know in the future, they may help you. Yep.
So I still want to
Okay, maybe a year is a little late, but maybe if it's like a week or 2, that's fine. But
after that.
yeah, I guess I recommend not ghosting people. I mean, I'm not perfect. I've done it as well, so don't worry about it. So I mean, a year is kind of beyond ghosting people. So
Stand on.
yeah.
It's like, hey, you.
Oh, yep. So maybe the job listing might remove, but like I still like see messages, at least on my LinkedIn from like a year ago. That's still there in my messaging profile. So the person there is the message from that person still there, maybe not like a company one. Yeah. So yep.
We also working.
Yep, you can use Indeed. Indeed's a hiring job posting place as well. Use as much resources as you can. But I would say LinkedIn and Handshake gives you the main core of what you need. Obviously, there's ZipRecruiter, Indeed. I think Glassdoor has some job options there as well. There's a lot of like hiring websites. There's even hiring companies, but LinkedIn's like the premier of all of these options. So just like LinkedIn, Handshake also posts certain job offerings. So I posted a couple for some of us majors here. So we have a technical business analyst job that's paying $30 an hour starting. Well, I think the deadline is in July. So I guess they're still hiring. And then we have internships through Handshake as well. That's another example on the right. As a possible internship for project management and that kind of stuff. I think we all have to take a project management class in FAU. So if you like that, that's an opportunity to go forward with that. So I probably said ModMed like 100 times this meeting and LinkedIn 100 times this meeting. So like I said, that's Professor Stewart will be hosting ModMed next week on so have your questions ready and have your LinkedIn's ready, because if you thought I was a stickler for LinkedIn, you haven't met Professor Stewart yet. So there's also events. If FAU has events, Handshake will have that on the website as well. Like I said, we had the internship one, and then today, and we had we have a couple coming up next month. So any questions about LinkedIn, Handshake, networking before we kind of go into the group activity stuff? I'll wait in the chat as well. If not, we'll probably split up into groups for a few minutes. I'm not sure if you want to do breakout rooms for.
I'll just stop the recording.
Do we have any officers in online?
Let's see.